Yay. Hey, everybody. It's Sunday morning, the first day of spring. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an angel therapy practitioner, intuitive astrologer, Reiki master, and empowerment coach. And today is Sunday, March 20th. Hi, Posted Up. Good to see you. I got to tell you, lately when I start these broadcasts, I get in a loop of I don't know, it takes me a couple times. So anyway, I've got Uranus hovering over my moon, opposing Mercury in my 8th house. So it's all very fun and exciting. Speaking of fun and exciting, let's talk about some transits coming up. This full moon was a very interesting full moon for me because it felt like a week of unexpected closures and illuminations. And this week will be no different. There will be illuminations, eliminations, and liberations. And the first thing I want to talk about is the square between Mars and Uranus. Mars is the me planet, the planet that says, what do I want to do? How do I want to express myself? The pioneer, the courage seeker, or the courage displayer, hopefully. And then we have Uranus that sees humanity and sees the big picture of the things and wants to go out and sort of look at things from space, that sees this big collective as one whole thing. And these two planets are colliding. They're colliding in a conversation that doesn't feel like it's going to anybody's going to acquiesce their position. Let me put it that way. So Uranus, we know, is kind of holding her position there, or I don't know if I want to call her or him. I can't quite remember if it's a masculine planet. It feels a little bit like a female planet to me when she goes off. But anyway, my point is this. She's been hovering around, Uranus has been hovering around this degree, 11, 12 degrees of Taurus, and really asking us over and over again, are you living your truth? Are you applying your skills? Are you enjoying the things within your home, the food you're eating, and how are you processing your own personal history? Because we know the second house rules the history of the family and history in general. This square between Mars and Uranus is going to be an opportunity for Mars's energy to express itself in a way where the me does serve the collective. And I hope that as you walk through this week and you walk through the idea that there are people that have no clue about astrology, they have no clue about the transits, and yet they're going to feel them as much as we do. So this dynamic, this square feels like it's going to hover around for most of the week. Now, in addition to that, we have Mercury that's now entered Pisces and heading towards Neptune. I'm sorry, heading towards Jupiter, then it will hit Neptune. I believe tomorrow, depending upon where you are in the world, there'll be Mercury and Jupiter will be together at 18 degrees in Pisces. So this is really kind of polarizing to me because there could be this situation where that square between Uranus and Mars becomes so frustrating and so upsetting that Mercury makes me start to think about what I believe about things and have I been wrong all along? And then we're going to go into Neptune creeping up on that, days later. So this is an opportunity to really dig deep about what you believe. And also, if you for some reason have revisited a belief and somebody knocked you off that belief, let's say you've said, I experienced this and it doesn't really work for me. And someone's like, no, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. And you acquiesce to their opinion. And then it turns out you were right. There's a good possibility you're going to lose your mind. Mercury, and be pissed off, Mars and Uranus. And then there's the really shadow side of too much alcohol, too much partying, too much Neptunian erosive ego energy, exasperated by Jupiter. So I think this is a week that's going to call for us as best we can to be conscious. And I want to say this too, because, I'm a human being and I lose my mind sometimes. And what drives me from 0 to 100 in like less than a millisecond is when people come to me for a certain dynamic and then they negate that dynamic when it doesn't serve their story. So I think that may be happening a lot this week with a lot of people, where people are coming up and they have a certain story and they don't like the story, but the story is somewhere where they're hanging their hat. And it's the reason why they are the way they are. And I think Mars and Uranus is going to say, excuse me, it's time to liberate yourself from that old story. And how are you participating? Either through your viewpoint, through your actions, through your powerlessness, because Neptune sometimes will make us feel powerless. So that's kind of where I'm going. I think it's going to be a little bit of a landmine field this week, walking through the transits. So be gentle with yourself. If you're triggered, and a lot of my clients are feeling old triggers, and it's funny because since the nodes changed, a lot of it feels like it has to do with things that happened 19 years ago, 15 years ago. I think the nodes changed, or we're going through the Scorpio Taurus axis 19 years ago. So anyway, I bring this up because it's not easy. And I think this full moon was really, for me at least, illuminating where I enslave myself. Sometimes I try to help people and it just bites me in the ass. So let's go on to our readings. Let's jump up. And Lucky had his birthday yesterday too, by the way. He finished his 10th year of life. He's starting year 11. So we're excited about that. And as always, I'm going to start with Pisces. Pisces rising, Pisces moon, Pisces sun. I think this is going to be super important because your two ruling planets are going to be having a very strong conversation. And I feel a little bit that as Mercury walks through these dynamics of meeting up with Jupiter and Neptune, I feel a little bit, and you may look in your personal natal charts to see what the aspects are for you, but I feel as if they're really saying, where are you either pretending you don't know what you know, or for some reason you are making a situation seem more beneficial to you than it really is. That's what I'm trying to say. And, we are walking, I believe today is the first day of spring. If not, I think it is. Is it the first day of spring? So we have a couple things going on here. First day of Aries, first day of spring, on the culmination of a full moon in Virgo. Where am I enslaving myself in my thought process? And I just kind of, for Pisces, I want to say this. The idea that Mercury is coming up to your rulers, both your ancient Jupiter and your modern day ruler, I think it's an opportunity for you to say, where do I hide? Where do the 12th house rules the bedroom. It rules prisons. It rules hospitals. It rules ashrams. It's a very, in some ways, an isolating feeling because it's all about reflection, about me, myself, and I. So I think this might be a week where it's asking you to really get deep with, are you being authentic with yourself, or are you holding yourself small? If you're holding yourself small, is that serving a story that needs to be renovated? Again, old stories are being triggered in such a huge way. So let's do our reading, see what happens. Because the square between Uranus and Mars, and I got to tell you, that feels like it's been going on and creeping up for a while now. And, Mars and Venus were conjunct this week. They've been traveling together for a while. They're starting to separate. So there's a lot that has to do with feeling about your skills, and I say skills because of the Venus aspect and money kind of running through this whole dynamic. And then the square between Uranus and Mars sort of saying, I want to help everybody. I want to be out there for humanity, but I need to take care of me too, because if I don't take care of me, I'm really not taking care of you. And that might be where this big goes with Uranus and Mars. And I do think it's going to be a kapoosh, because Uranus is at 12 degrees, which is the Piscean degree. And then we go back to this little Mercury action happening with Neptune and Jupiter, and it just feels, what do I really believe? And again, I'm going to say this about the ego. I do not think that Neptune is asking me to erode my ego for another human's agenda, but rather to look deeper into my own spiritual agenda, my own soul's agenda. And if it doesn't align with another person, or the other person is not in balance with me, am I really being difficult if I step away or I move away from that experience? Welcome, Carla, or Karia. My glasses, I can't really see. Hi, Shelley. Hi, Welsh. Hi, Small. Hi, Juan. I hope I didn't miss anybody. Here we go. Pisces, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Now, I know most people think that our ascendant is our most personal point in our chart, but I really sort of go with that moon idea. No matter how much I try to manifest on my sun or on my ascendant, my moon must be aligned to my intention. So I want to offer that, because Pisces moon, I think this is super important for you this week. Merlina is our first angel. Ray is the second angel. The third is Sonia. And the final is Teresa. Hey, it's Sacred Owl. Welcome. Thank you, Welsh. Lucky had a great birthday. I made him wear his happy birthday shirt all day. So everybody we walked by wished him a happy birthday. Hi, Janine. I feel like I missed somebody. Whoops. All right, Pisces. Merlina is being joined by the swan. Ray is being joined by the cow. Sonia is being joined by the spider. And Teresa is being joined by the mystery. Merlina represents in this angel deck confusion and indecision, which I think is kind of odd, because we see this energy of the wizard here, and we see the balance of the yin and the yang. We can see the dolphins. So I feel like the confusion only comes for Pisces, rising moon, sun, and stelliums when you're ignoring your own intuitions, when on some level you're not allowing your intuitive body to grow along with your physical experience. The thing about aging, and that's what I know best now, because I'm 62, almost and a half years old, going to be 63 in October. And as I have aged, the things that the wisdom that I have garnished is not from what I've learned in a book, but what I've learned intuitively by having contrasting experiences. Squares. I've come to refer to squares as a bit of sandpaper, where two elements create such a friction that they can erode each other, or they can soften the edges and make for a nice flow. So for Pisces, any confusion you have may be because you're standing in a place where you're not trusting your intuitive body. Because here's Ray, the connection to the angelic realm, and there's your power. Comes from your heart and talking through your power chakra, and there's abundance, asking and receiving. And that is further confirmed by Sonia talking about deceased loved ones. And if there is a sign that rules connection to ancestors, it is the 12th house of Pisces, and there's the relationship card. So for me, this week may be, now let's take Mercury out of the idea of writing, speaking, and teaching, and let's go to teammates, workmates, people that we operate with in our everyday lives. That may come as Jupiter and Neptune become conjunct with transiting Mercury. It may illuminate that the people in your everyday life are not aligned to who and what you are and what you want. And so now this is about making choices for yourself rather than worrying for other people. And I want to offer this too, because there is a little something that feels in the confusion that Merlina is offering, that this doesn't feel so, it feels as if there's a little bit of a come to Jesus moment for Pisces, where you may have been trying to please others. You may have been trying to make others happy, and it wasn't really aligned to who you were. And maybe as Mercury was, starting to come into Pisces and heading towards your ruling planets, it started to make you feel insecure or less than. And because of that, it's sent a ripple effect. So I feel as if the most powerful thing that can happen for Pisces this week is to really connect with your intuitive body, to say, am I in my head or am I in my heart? Your heart will always be your intuitive body. And if indeed you allow your heart to speak, then the words that are guided out of your mouth should allow the experience to be less Mars and Uranus fighting each other, because I feel like that might be part of the challenge. And very much, I think meditation would be super, super important for you this week. So as much as you can enjoy some downtime, some time just sort of allowing your own thoughts to sort of, because they're going to have to fly out so that the inspiration can fly or can come through. And I know for me personally, the first 15 minutes of meditation is just trying to, blot out the noise on the street and whatever else is going on. So I would offer that. And while I'm starting to go to Aquarius, I will mention that I did post this week the love meditation. It's a 5-minute meditation. It's really more about, yes, do art, Shelley. That's a great idea for Pisces. A love meditation. It's 5 minutes, and it's really more of a mantra to help us all feel more safe and secure and willing to open up to love in all its forms. Okay, let's go on to our Aquarius. So we still have Saturn in Aquarius. Venus is still traversing through Aquarius. And then, of course, Mars is there as well. And I feel as if a lot of this is going to be an opportunity. We talk a lot about the 11th house ruling humanity, but it also rules our hopes and our dreams. It's an Upachaya house. It's a house of benefit. It's a house that as it matures, it becomes more fruitful. Again, I think the maturity level comes through the wisdom of the human experience, because when we're young, we get very upset about a lot of stuff. And then as we get older, we're like, oh, been there, done that, been there, done that. So we don't get quite the same charge off of something. So for my Aquariuses, I feel as if as we walk through this week and we look at the idea of Jupiter and Mercury and Neptune all kind of coming together, they won't come together exact, but they're close enough together where there's going to be a real opportunity to dig deep as to what is important to you. Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. So it's very air, it's fixed air. It's strong in its innovation energy. So I think if there's anywhere that people are trying to drive Aquarius into an old dynamic and tell them it's new, that might be where the Mars and Uranus square makes you go, kaboom, I'm not doing that anymore. I do think there's going to be a kaboom this week. I had mine last week. Hopefully I'm not having another one this week. All right. Welcome, La Vida. I hope I said hi to everybody. Okay, here we go. Aquarius, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. I don't want to really split hairs between rising and moon, because I believe that the rising is our perception, the moon is our emotions, and they are intertwined like a rope. And then I put my sun last, and I'm just rogue that way. Good morning, Joshua. Great to see you. All right, Aquarius. Our first angel is Archangel Uriel. The second is Oceana. The third is Francesca, and the final is Caressa. All right. Archangel Uriel is being joined by Merlin. Oceana is being joined by the Burden card. Francesca's been joined by the Goblin. And Caressa's being joined by the Protection card. This is interesting. Archangel Uriel deals with frustration, anger, unforgiveness. And this is a very strong human dynamic. Most of us just suck it up. When a situation takes place, we may address it. But if it is a long-term hurt, usually other humans become callous to it. Like if we hear someone complain about something over and over again, we're like, get over it, get over it. So people go underground. And I tend to think that for Aquarius, there's a bit of anger or unforgiveness, or maybe it's frustration that has been sitting underneath things. And Merlin is here offering you alchemy, justice, and balance. And I think it comes because, when we talk about these signs as individual and the moon and the sun, it's so small in comparison to the whole chart. There could be, you could be a Pisces and you could have such Aquarius dynamics within your chart that you don't realize because of the accesses. If you go, then there could be the potential that Oceana and your own feelings are quite difficult for you to experience, to enjoy, to bring forth. Because we have Francesca here saying, what do you visualize right now? Negativity will block your progress. And there's the goblin talking about, edging God out. So I want to say this for my Aquariuses. There feels like there's an end of a chapter coming that's going to bring new happiness. There's the protection card. And it more than likely will be the end of some sort of frustration and anger. And I think that this dynamic between Uranus and Mars this week, Mars being in Aquarius, Uranus squaring it in Taurus, is going to somehow potentially create an upset that creates more balance. And the balance could be between two parties, they come together and they align, or it could be they decide, maybe it's time we go our separate ways. And in doing so, there's something to be learned and something to be remembered on a soul's level. Okay, I didn't get any notification of buffing, but I got to say, I got my new computer, and every Sunday since, we started on my channel, I have to redo the beginning of the video. So I don't know what's going on. I think it has something to do with Uranus in my chart opposing my Mercury. I'm not getting any notification of anything slowing down, but that doesn't mean anything over here. So, all right, here we go. On to our Capricorns. Rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Look at that. We have 11 people in the room. 10 thumbs up, 111. What are we thinking? All right, here we go. Capricorn, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Pluto's at the anaretic degrees, if I'm saying that properly. And I find that to be so pivotal right now. And, I don't know what made me do this, but when I went to look, I go to Astrology King in the morning and I look at the week's transits and then I interpret them myself. And when I went there this morning, excuse me, pardon me, they had Vladimir Putin's birth chart up. He's a Libra. I was almost blown away. He's going to be 70 this year. And I was thinking, oh my God, I think he's born on the 7th or something of October, or the 4th. It's in the early October. And I thought, but the Pluto dynamic and what's been going on with him over the last few years is just very interesting, because I really think Pluto, while it's, creeping around those last degrees of Capricorn, it's so powerful in how it's affecting everybody. So let's see. Whoa. Well, Shanti, the angel of peace, flew out there. So we'll take her. This is for Capricorn, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Joining Shanti is Ariel. Joining Ariel is Crystal. And finally, we have Azure. This is really beautiful. Did I say Vladimir? Did I say it wrong? Putin, whatever his name is, Putin. Did I say it wrong? I don't pay much attention to politics, honestly, or any of these Yahoo guys up there, because it makes me crazy. Yes, Calgon, take me away. Okay, Capricorn, Shanti is being joined by the swan. Ariel's being joined by the partnership card. Crystal's being joined by Merlin. And Azure's being joined by the love card. This is really, really beautiful because I've been feeling so much transformation in the Capricorn energy. And not just because of Pluto, but because I feel like Capricorn is wanting, I feel like all the signs have been wanting to evolve along with us as humans. I believe wholeheartedly, from the most faint star out there that I can't even see to the most minuscule micro dot in the world, everything is vibrating. Everything is evolving. And so I want to offer it this way because I believe that Capricorn is evolving into a leader of peace and fairness. And while Capricorn's energy originally represents authoritative oppression on some level, it's the man putting out the rules for us that we have to follow. And that's going to happen. There'll be a little bit more of that before Capricorn completely evolves. But I believe that as we move forward, the structures the Capricorn is talking about or represents is going to be the structures that serve the human, that then serve everyone much more. So here we go. Pardon me. Shanti, the angel of peace, comes through Capricorn's willingness to evolve in their intuitive body. Now, this isn't easy for Capricorn because they're earth, and they're earth in a strong way. But I believe that there's been signs and omens over the last 2 years, especially for Capricorn, calling forth a deeper knowing and a trust of that knowing. And here we see that evidenced by the partnership with Ariel. New psychic and spiritual experiences are changing the way you view yourself and the world. And then in the angel's advice, we have Merlin and we have Crystal. And I believe this is where Capricorn starts to believe in magic. Now, let me explain what I think magic is. Magic is not, hocus pocus, whoosh, you're a frog. Magic comes from alignment to your own intention, which then calls in the laws of attraction. And the grand wizard knows that it's not just the laws of attraction, but then allowing in the experience, which will always call forth some sort of decision. A decision to be brave, a decision to say, I quit my day job because this opportunity has come. And even though this opportunity isn't a guaranteed paycheck, I trust my own intuitive body enough to know I can do it, because Azure is saying your desired outcome will happen in the near future. Have patience and faith and don't try to force it. And there is the love card. And I think this is so important because I feel like this is where Capricorn really excels, is in this. And it's why I think Capricorn and Saturn in some ways co-rule Aquarius, because it's the idea of taking an innovation that Uranus offers and then applying the structure to that innovation that Saturn offers. So all of this feels like it's on the table for Capricorn. So as you walk through this week and you're looking at Mercury coming up on Neptune and coming up on Jupiter, not in that order, Jupiter first, Neptune second, you may find yourself thinking in more expansive ways. You may find the philosophy of your life is changing. And as a result of that, you're feeling liberated from what has felt oppressive. That's the way I want to put it. And I think that as a Capricorn as well, when you walk towards what you love, many of us want to follow you there. Capricorn can be very much like the Pied Piper, I think. In the right vibration, when Capricorn isn't being too follow the rules, too Saturnian, it's very inspiring because there's a trust, and the trust makes me trust myself. Okay, let's go on to our Sagittariuses. If you don't love what you do, and most people don't love what they do, and even those of us that start off loving what we do, there's a fork in the road sometimes where the work itself is not as altruistic, or not as, we have these kind of inspired fairy tale, at least I do. I have Neptune and Mercury and Scorpio. So I have these fairy tale thoughts. And I feel like when I'm generous or when I'm giving to someone else, they'll respond in kind, but it doesn't happen often. So, I think on some level, we can't really worry about what other people are doing in relation to what we're doing. We have to just hold the line. I did my mentorship with Brian Coulter this last week, and I said to him, he was talking about numbers and YouTube numbers and viewership. And I said, I don't think it works when you look at the numbers. I think you just have to do it for the love of it. And if you build it, they will come. And I think that is more and more becoming the new norm. So it is, Sandy. It's not easy right now. I got to say, but I think that those of us that stay the course through the tough times will build an incredibly strong muscle. All right, here we go. On to our Sagittarius moon, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Isaiah is our first angel. The second is Merlina again. Then we have Shanti, the angel of peace. And then we have Chantal. All right, here we go. Isaiah is being joined by the Earth Fairy. Merlina is being joined by the Burden card. Shanti's being joined by the Peace card. Shanti's being joined by the Mystery card. And Chantal is being joined by the Movement card. Okay, so when I look at this, Isaiah talks about it's time to give birth to new ideas and new situations. And then I have the Earth Fairy, which will talk about physical health, groundings, and foundations. I kind of see this as Taurus today. I kind of see this as sitting in my, this is for Sagittarius, by the way, but I say this because I feel like it's the ground I walk on. It's my everyday activities, and it's time to give birth to new ideas in what it is and how you walk on the earth. And I want to offer it this way because I don't think it's about changing directions as much as it may be, Sagittarius is the philosopher, the gypsy, the PhD, really high education. And I feel as if maybe there's a little something going on this week where it's about getting a little bit into the details of things. Maybe it's a good idea to get into the details of your everyday life and how you're walking through your everyday life. Because in the opportunity or the obstacle, we have again Merlina, which talks about confusion, but I think it's confusion because I've forgotten what magic looks like, because Merlina is a wizard. And there's balance all over this card, and there's the burden. And I think what that might mean is that as you give life to new ideas, if you're looking too broadly at the picture, we've got this square between Uranus and Mars this week. I thought of it as the humans versus me, humanity versus what I want. So if that square, however that's rubbing up to you, because it's going to be a few days, obviously Uranus doesn't move fast, and Mars is going to take a few days to really move out of that square. So in the meantime, I think it's going to rub up against you a little bit and ask you to get down into the minutia of how am I spending my day? Am I really loving how I'm spending my day? And what is my perception of my day? Because the day may be fine, but your attitude may be a little bit, annoyed, or because I feel like this is there's newness being offered, and I can't help but see this quartz crystal as some sort of illumination. Am I walking through in a magical way, or am I feeling burdened? Because the angel of peace is here and it's being offered to you, but you've got to choose it. The mystery card for me always represents that free will. I don't believe there is a puppet master out there. I believe that our thoughts are things. It's why I created Word Vibration of the Week. Again, a little plug for that weekly video that's coming out, because our words are things. If you are a Christian, God created the earth with a spoken word. So there is something for Sagittarius to look into the details of your everyday life and allow yourself to liberate yourself from where you're feeling burdened by either obligation or something that feels like a have to versus a get to. Because in the final position, I have Chantal and the Movement card. Now, I could go straight to romantic love with Chantal because that's what she represents, but it feels as if it's something to do with love in my everyday life, that there's more love, more kind people. Recently, it's been like my life is one big recent thing. I'm so aware of how, like, I'm walking down the street with my dog. There are times I can feel my head wanting to go down and just kind of tuck in and not be seen, just get my walk done. And then there's times when I can feel myself opening up. And as I see that happening for me, I can see the ripple effect. people opening a door when I walk into a place, or people saying hello, or isn't your dog cute? I feel that this is very important for Sagittarius to start to pay attention to how they're walking through their everyday life. If you are indeed feeling burdened, are you allowing for the magic? Are you choosing peaceful thoughts? Are you surrendering to the upset? Because if indeed there is enough upset, it could have something to do with illumination. And in doing so, I think you're going to feel more love in your life. And I want to say this kind of comes from the inside. This last week, I got triggered in a really, really big way. I felt like I had been very open and transparent with somebody, and they kept being cloak and dagger with me, and all shrouded in I can't even find the right word. Like, they just wouldn't drop on one side of the fence. And then they came at me with something, and it just triggered me in a big way. And I realized that I don't want to spend my everyday life chasing somebody around, trying to make them happy instead of making myself happy. So what I found was more self-love. And I wasn't pretty this week. I felt like I got a little ugly because I got so upset. And when I get upset, my Aries goes, "Meow." And I have a Taurus moon, so double whammy. It feels like a big trigger week. And I don't know if we're done with it, guys. I mean, I think this next week with Jupiter and Neptune, I really want to say, if you're not a drinker, great. But if you're a drinker or you party, watch yourself, man, because you may just get a little bit heavy-handed with all the frustrated energy in the air. I've been drinking blueberry juice with coconut water and lemon. It's my new wine. It looks like wine in a cup because it's so dark, but it's delicious. It's better for me to stay away from any of those mind-altering things when I feel so hot. All right. Oh, Sandy, I want to send love to you. If you do feel like crying, let yourself cry. It's such a great release. And even if you don't have to have a reason, just let yourself emote. Okay, on to our Scorpios, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Here we go. Adriana is our first angel. Maya is in the opportunity of the obstacle. Isaiah is in the angel's advice. And finally is Mystique. So here we know the nodes are moving through, the south node is moving through Scorpio. And depending upon any planets you have there or degrees, that's going to be important. And I really want to offer this because I looked at my own personal chart and everything is squaring me now. I have one blue line in my chart. God bless. And I kept thinking, you know what? I have all my storm gear, astrological storm gear. So I'm going to stop worrying about if all my supplies are there and the hatches are battened down. I'm going to start to think, okay, I'm here walking through this storm for a reason. And it isn't about the storm. It's about how I walk through it, because that's what I think Scorpio is going through. So Adriana is asking Scorpio, or is being joined by the Grail Knight. Maya is being joined by the Hawk. Isaiah is being joined by the Birth and the Rebirth card. And Mystique's been joined by the Focus card. So, and this is another thing I think is so important for all of us as humans walking this planet. The evolution is coming from the idea that we make our resources, money, etc., through enslaving ourselves to something that we don't particularly like. I think this is why Pluto has gone off. I think this is what Jupiter and Neptune and all the dynamics, the big outer planets are like screaming at us right now to wake up and say, are you living the life you want to live? Or are you just going through these motions, hoping at some point to be accepted for those motions and then someday give yourself life? Because I don't think it's about that. So Adriana says she's leading you to the answers to your dreams and your prayers. And then it's about seeking the sacred for yourself. Going down, what is most important to me? What fills my cup? And that's where the South Node is going to say, be egoless in that. Because not everybody's going to agree with you. Not everybody's going to believe you. A lot of people don't believe in astrology, and yet a lot of people do. So I think this is an opportunity for Scorpio to really start to learn about the signs and the omens and to stop banging their head against a wall. That's what I want to say. And that might be what this full moon illuminated. Somewhere you've enslaved yourself to some sort of dynamic. And now Uranus and Mars are going to make an aspect where it's going to be me versus them. And I think I got to choose me. But it isn't selfish, because Isaiah says it's time to give birth to new ideas and new situations. And there's the birth and the rebirth card. Mystique is offering miracles because now we've shifted our focus. I know it's, I had somebody say to me the other day, they posted something on the internet and they said something to me about, well, there are no followers on that account, so it doesn't matter if it was messed up. And I said, it absolutely matters. There's a vibration we send out to the universe. I don't care what the humans are attached to it. I'm going to start thinking about the vibration I send. So if I send a vibration that's half-assed, not done well, is set up in a way that doesn't represent me, it doesn't matter if there's 0 followers or 12 million followers. The vibration is there. Scorpio, I think Spirit is bringing to illumination your vibration, the vibration of you seeking the sacred within you. What is important to you and what do you want as a result of that? And then rather than looking at the outside world to see if it's possible, it's about letting it grow from the inside out. And that's how you'll learn. That's where the signs and the omens will come as you shift your focus towards what it is you want. And it isn't about the extermination of what isn't working. It's almost about leaving that on the side of the road for a minute. I was telling a client a story the other day. Back in 1865 or whatever, there was either typhoid or yellow fever or a combination of both. I can't quite remember. But one of the two diseases made people go into a coma. And the doctors of the time thought that they were dead. So they buried these people. These people would wake up in their coffins and be like clawing to get out. So one of the grave diggers decided to put a string on the toe, carry the string up through the dirt, and then put it on a bell. And that's where Saved by the Bell came in. So part of it is, the reason I bring this up is because so much can happen when we aren't actively taking action, but rather sitting in more of a surrender and allowing the universe to do what it needs to do. So I want to offer that because, today's medicine would have you think if you don't take action or take a drug of some kind, you're going to perish. And the doctors of yesteryear thought you'd already perished. They stick you in the ground and your body knew exactly what to do to take you out of that place. So there's a little something going on with Scorpio for that, is allowing yourself to have that evolution. And there's a part of it that feels like it's about stepping into a more authentic me on me idea. What do I want for me? It's not about whether it's viable in your perception of things. It's not about whether others agree with you. It's that deep inner wanting, because I think Pluto will bring it for you. And it's a matter of your focus going in. All right, here we go. On to our Libras. I want to thank everybody too that's commented on the videos that I've been posting on the channel. I haven't had a chance to, I'm trying to respond to everybody, but my days have gotten a little bit mushy lately is a word I would use. But I want to tell you, I read them all and I'm so appreciative of all your support, honestly. Okay, Libra. Our first angel is Rochelle, my favorite. Then there's Caressa. Then there's Rosetta. And the final is Crystal. Small, are you singing with me? Okay. Rochelle is being joined by the Risk card. Caressa is being joined by the Raven. Rosetta is being joined by the Birth and the Rebirth card. And Crystal is being joined by the Death card. My dad would kill me for saying, And Leos, yes, and we go to Leos. Rochelle, says, as you honor and follow the guidance of your heart, prosperity is coming. And Spirit has opened this idea of prosperity is never money for me. It's resources. It's feeling comfortable in the idea that there is a momentum. If I build it, they will come. And Libra, honestly, sometimes, looking for the balance, it's time to risk your heart. This is why, I'm trying to kind of, in some ways, I want to say, drill into your heads that being loving to yourself is not selfish. It's actually the biggest invitation for other people. And it also gives us a heart to be able to let people be who they are, because we understand, because we're letting ourselves be who we are. I really want to offer this idea of, as you honor and follow the guidance of your heart, if you don't know what your heart is, then just musing on what feels enjoyable, what feels comforting, what feels natural. That's the word I want to, natural. Because here is Caressa saying your Libra's at the end of a cycle, and there's the timing of that cycle. The cycle is magical because there is something about, as Rosetta talks about, teaching children, guiding children, but this is in the Angel's Advice with the birth and the rebirth card. And I think it's offering Libras this new version of feeling more hopeful and more childlike in our excitement about things, because in this transition that we're all going through, and my heart goes out to the humans that are experiencing so much disruption through war, through natural disaster, through financial challenges. But at the same time, sometimes when we go through those terrible situations, it rips away all the illusions that I line up for my viability to others. And I start to think what's important to me. And then as I put that forth, then I start to really bring in the balance, because Crystal's saying, have faith and hope. There's more on the horizon that you can't see. And the death card is never death. There's no such thing as death. It's the death of the illusion that I was risking my heart at all. Because I don't think you're actually risking your heart, Libra. And, everybody's talking about everything's going up. Literally, my coconut water went up $1, overnight. And I've had some people comment a lot about how they're concerned about finances and money. And at the same time, there are always people that thrive during challenging times. And I believe that even those that are struggling to survive, there is a focus sometimes that supersedes the situation outside. And I feel like the focus of the heart, the focus of what feels good to me, and then this allowing, when I talk about a square creating friction, I think about wood. I imagine like sandpaper and this sort of heating things up a bit. And yet at the same time, it softens the edge. And in softening that edge, it makes things move more easily. So I feel like that's what's going on for Libra. The risk is to allow the friction to bring out the truth of your heart. And that's where the magic comes in, because sometimes getting pissed off is what moves us into a new chapter. And the new chapter is what's most important to my heart, to what makes me feel excited, to what makes me feel purposeful and meaningful on the planet. And now that death becomes a birth of me trusting more of what I can't see, and knowing it doesn't matter what my eyes see. It matters what my intention is and what the vibration that comes out of me. All right, let's go on to our Virgos. How did Virgo do with this moon? That's what I want to know. Thank you, Janine, for commenting on my hair. That's so nice of you. And I wanted to welcome my fellow Californian. Was that Chris? I think maybe it's way up there. Let me scroll a little bit. Was it Chris? Oh, yes. Welcome, Chris. So good to see you in the room. Okay. Virgo. I've been studying a new book I got on Chiron, and because Chiron is transiting Aries right now. And in my studying with Brian, I always kind of think that that Chiron is connected to the nodes somehow, that there is more detail when we look at the nodal structure and then we add Chiron in. And this gentleman, I can't quite remember his name right now, Martin Lass, I think it might be. I can't quite remember. He was saying that Chiron is exalted in Virgo, which I thought was, wow, kind of crazy. Because Virgo can be very dependable, very practical, very dutiful. And that made sense to me because it could be exalted in the sign of slavery, in the sign of our employment, in the sign of the things that we do because we have to, not because we want to. So I feel like if we are to transform that wound, it goes from the have to the want to. Stephen was going to be gone for a couple of weeks. I think he was going on vacation. Tebow pops in and out now. He's not here regularly. And then Nikki too. I think Nikki's at the pizza parlor. I have Venus in Virgo, Joshua. Oh, you have Venus next to Chiron. That could mean a lot of things, depending upon, it's in Virgo. What house is that in, Joshua? All right, here we go. Virgo, our first angel is Astera. The second is Omega. The third is Xana. And the final is Rochelle. Stephen's been here. He's been here most weeks. He just wasn't here last week. In the 9th house. Okay. So that could have something to do with your beliefs. It could have something to do with foreign travel. It could have something to do with sometimes even education, because Virgo being mercurial, 9th house being, higher learning. So there might have been something going on with that. Look at your nodes as well and look at your south node. Okay, Astera Virgo is being joined by the forgiveness card. Omega is being joined by the deer. Xana is being joined by the wasp. And Rochelle is being joined by the movement card. One of the shadow sides of Virgo is being a little critical. And because it's a perfectionist and it wants everything to be perfect. So I want to offer this because for my Virgos, Astera says to reach for the stars with your dreams and desires. And then we have the forgiveness card. And I feel like this feels more like some sort of reconciliation of your wants and your desires, because I'm going to go to the final position. We have Rochelle. This is again following your heart. Virgo would be, oh, I can't follow my heart. I need to make sure I do my job for my employer. I have to make sure that I'm a good healthcare worker. I have to make sure that I take care of everybody else but me. If there was one sign that took care of everybody else but themselves, I think that would be Virgo, honestly. So I think that this might be where your ruling planet, Mercury, as it comes into conjunction with Jupiter and Neptune this next week, could bring epiphanies about how important it is for you to do you. And there's victory as you walk through a bit of fear and being gentle with yourself as you see the wisdom of that. Both these animals are looking the same direction, meaning they're both kind of looking this way. And I feel like when I go to the angels' advice, they're going to help you get through any anger or frustration, and not just your own, because if for some reason you need to liberate yourself from a situation, someone may be angry at you. This Uranus and Mars square, could be very kapoo. So I feel like this really is more of an interior job right now versus going outward, meaning I'm going to reach for the stars with my dreams and my desires. I'm going to reconcile how important it is for me to actually have those dreams and desires. I'm going to know that there is gentleness, that I must be gentle with myself as I step towards Virgo. It's not natural for Virgo to take care of themselves. Honestly, it's natural, kind of like Cancer, for Virgo to take care of other people or make sure everything is done properly. And so when I go to the angels' advice, this is kind of about you being protected through any anger, if there's been imbalance in how people have perceived your value, or if indeed, you're being protected from your own anger, because there is more happiness and more abundance and more feelings of fulfillment coming through as you follow your heart. And I want to offer this because that may be just the epiphany that Mercury offers as it comes into conjunction with Jupiter and Neptune this week. And, it's going to fly by pretty fast, but at the same time, it feels very, very potent, very powerful in its I want to say hits the ground running. That's the way I want to put it. Okay. All right. On to our Leos. And hi, Mindful QT or OT. It's QT. QT. Oh, yeah. Mindful Cutie. Got it. Cutie. Silly me. Okay. This next week with this Uranus-Mars square, I think it's going to play out in the world as well. I think we're going to see a little bit more frustration coming. And I want to offer the opportunity for you to, rather than I almost feel like sometimes when I watch the news, it gets me very anxious, makes me actually get heart palpitations because there's a sense of powerlessness in what's happening right now. And that's when I want to go into meditation and sort of put a love bubble around the earth, So if indeed you're feeling a little bit frustrated that way, the best thing you could ever do, I think, is to focus in on the earth plane in general and just sending some love to it and hoping that we can always find a wisdom within our challenges. Yeah, I got this Aries thing going on. I'm a Libra by sun, but I'm an Aries by nature, I'll tell you. And in Vedic, I'm a double Aries. I'm an Aries moon and an Aries rising. To be me. Okay, Leo, are you ready? Here we go. First angel is Akasha. The second is Caressa. The third is Xana. And the final is Rosetta. Akasha is being joined by the butterfly. Caressa is being joined by the goblin. Xana is being joined by the king. And Rosetta is being joined by love. Leo. Leo, Leo, Leo. Leo too is a fixed sign, a sign of leadership. The sun shines and this is the beginning of spring with the sun coming out and, everyone starts to feel new life coming up. And when I look at this, I feel as if Leo is frustrated. I almost feel like Leo is sick of having lessons. And I'll tell you why I say that. Because Akasha is a spiritual teacher, and here is the butterfly, blossoming and blooming and looking for beauty. And Spirit is trying to teach you to look for beauty. But I don't know if Leo's liking it right now, because there's the goblin and there's Caressa saying you're at the end of a life cycle. I want to offer it this way because I think that there is plenty of us that have been on the earth long enough to have experienced this nodal axis, the Taurus Scorpio axis. And while it's not directly hitting Leo, something's going on with Leo because they're being asked to evolve out of the caterpillar and into the butterfly. And there's a moment of darkness. I feel it right here within it because I feel like Leo is like, I'm so sick of this. I'm so sick of this. I've done this over and over again. But the challenge is for Leo is you keep going through it with the same perception. Because again, we see this little bit of a darkness and happiness awaits you. This is your opportunity, but you're edging God out. You're edging out the opportunity to rise above the situation and to realize how powerful you are. Because in the angel's advice is the angel of protection and the king. And when I look at the king, I don't think it's about a male authority. I think it's about owning it. I think it's about owning the idea of, I have a story. Okay. So my story is that when I'm kind to people and when people try to do trades with me, every single one of them has tried to take advantage of me. And I don't think they do it purposefully. I don't think they calculate it. But the idea of a trade in the first place feels like it's a less than thing. Like, I don't have any money. So I don't have any money. Will you do a trade? And everyone, I've done this, like, I haven't learned this lesson. This is why I went and had a moment this last week, because I went backwards and forwards trying to make this trade fair. And all I kept doing was getting, I don't know. It wasn't good the way it was playing out. That's the way I want to put it. And so when I look at this, Leo, there's something going on here where you're going through a repetitive cycle and you're still hitting it the same way you used to. And it's time for you to sort of kind of look at it from a different perception. So let's take the idea of Mercury ruling the way you think, Jupiter expanding your frustration, and Neptune making you feel unseen. This is a potential. And I say this because Pisces is your 8th house. The 8th house is by nature death and birth, and it's about other people. But this is where I think that Leo may be a little challenged, because you're waiting for that validation from the audience or the other people, or somehow making other people acknowledging. And I think that on some level, this is about you saying, you know what, I'm going to do me no matter what. I've learned that in order to truly prosper and truly be viable and to be purposeful and to actually get something done, I'm going to have to step out of my story and step into a new story. And I think that's a childlike innocence. So let me offer it this way, because I do it too. You know, I do the pity party. This last week, Shelley, thank you for acknowledging that. I was like, damn it, I know better. I know better. And this was so crazy how this worked out. Like, it was just didn't even make sense to me. And I found myself being so ego driven and pushed into this place of like, do you know what I know? Do you think you're worth what I'm worth? And I just there was no way this was going to work out. And this is what I'm saying, is that I feel like, you know something, Leo, you've already learned it, and now it's time to put it in the earth. Okay, now it's time to actually display it, to show the evolved version of yourself. And this isn't about your ego being a bad thing. It's just about being able to recognize it. I recognized my ego. I couldn't do a thing about it this week. I could not control my ego no matter what. But I think 90% of me is a good person. So I do feel protected by spirit. And now it's time to really listen to that inner child and to nurture her. Leo rules children. Leo rules love. And now I think it's super important for Leo to stand in that heart space in a brave energy. And I want to offer this way, because I think there may be this Uranus and Mars square. Uranus is at the Piscean degree. Mars is at the Taurus degree. I feel like there's going to be some sort of collision of beliefs, spiritual beliefs, and then sort of a liberation for Leo, and then an anchoring into this earth. I'm not doing this anymore. That's what I feel like Leo's saying. I'm not doing this anymore, but it isn't from that place of I'm a victim, I'm a victor. I'm not going to think that way anymore. I'm not going to go down that path because it doesn't serve me. And I've been on the planet long enough to know that I just go through a cycle when I go there. Because really, part of me has been trained to feel like a villain. When I get big and when I get intentional and when I get, no, I'm not listening to your excuses, because excuses are just lack in disguise. I'm sick of lack. Honestly, up to here, as my mother would say, with lack. Oh, I was so frustrated with myself this week. I got totally caught up in someone else's story. And I let them drive the bus right off the road. And I just started hanging from the tree. Thank God I could climb out of that damn tree. All right, here we go. On to our Cancers. Rising moon, sun, and stelliums. All right. Did I say hi to you, CJD? Hi, Joshua. I want to make sure I say hi to everybody. Okay, here we go. Cancer, our first angel is Bridget. The second is Shanti. The third is Opal. And the final is Chantal. I've been really like, I don't know if you can see my little display here back here, but I've been really enjoying. I bought some crystals. I haven't done that in a while, and I bought some essential oils and some herbs. And this last full moon, I really enjoyed, kind of doing this ceremony. And I felt so blanketed by spirit for the first time in a long time, to be honest. I forgot about ceremony. Sometimes when you do this work all the time, the things I did when I was a newbie, I don't do anymore. And it felt good to get back to basics. I don't know why I'm saying that. Maybe Cancer needs to get back to basics. Bridget is being joined by the mystery card. Shanti is being joined by the king. Opal's being joined by the birth and the rebirth card. And Chantal is being joined by the restriction card. The first thing I see when I see Bridget is a need to look deeper into my choices and what I'm thinking and how I'm perceiving something. And I want to offer this as the week ahead because, again, I want to go right back to this to Mercury conjuncting Jupiter and Neptune this week. And this idea of it being in Pisces, it may make you feel super watery, may make you feel super emotional, may make you feel like, I don't know if I can make the right choice. I don't know if there's a good choice. And I want to offer it this way because I feel as if not making a choice, not trying to come to some sort of decision this week, but allowing yourself to assess whatever goes on this week. Because of Uranus squaring Mars, something's going to blow up. Unexpectedly, there's going to be something, okay? Uranus is all about explosions. Mars is all about volatile situations. We don't need to go into the minutia of that because we know what that's about. So somehow peace will be had as a result of something. But I think it's going to be super important on the choices that you make. Careful of being triggered this week, Cancer. And triggering may not be something someone does on purpose. It may not be because of an argument, because this is justice and the angel of peace. I don't think this has to do with a man again. I think this is an opportunity for you to feel peace regardless of how the situation is, because Opal is in the angel's advice and talks about how God and the angels are in charge of children and caring for them and loving on them. And then there's the birth and the rebirth card. And you are a divine child of God. Last week, I watched The Shack again. And Papa, who is the familiar name of God in the movie, says, I'm especially fond of you. That's how Papa refers to the humans in here on the earth. And I feel as if for Cancer, that there is an opportunity for you to feel loved beyond what you're experiencing in this earthly plane, at least this next week. Because if for some reason love has felt restrictive, there's a bigger wisdom coming. And there's a reveal to be had. And sometimes we don't realize that, there's this old saying, absence makes the heart grow fonder. But most people think absence makes the heart go away. And sometimes when we don't come to a conclusion up here, Mercury conjunct Jupiter and Neptune, but rather keep an open space before we make a decision, we may find something much more just coming our way that brings peace. So I want to just lay it out kind of plain. If indeed you've been, in a situation where there's been no communication or somebody appears to have been rude or dismissive or gone away, there may be more that meets the eye. And just by not reacting on the story you've made up in here, you may find that the information that comes through validates you versus invalidates you. It may have nothing to do with you, and the distance or whatever choice you're making that you need to look deeper into would be served better by not defaulting to your history in relationships. I couldn't agree with you more, Joshua. I don't think we seek understanding enough in relationships. And I think oftentimes that humans try to predispose how the other person is going to react, and then they adjust their communication accordingly. And I believe 90% of the time they're not sure at all, or their assuredness actually detonates a different solution, or a different, I didn't say that right. Predisposing how someone is going to react and then adjusting our communication to avoid them blowing up is actually more likely to make them blow up. All right, here we go. On to our Geminis, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. I think the thing that made me so upset this week is I had seen the boulder heading towards me the whole time. In this situation, I was trying over and over again to create fairness, to create an open, transparent platform of communication, and the other party would not agree, would not align with me. And then I felt as if they came back to me and presented, after I've spent weeks, putting this forth, then they came back and just dumped the problem right on my lap. And I lost my mind. Just went to the universe. All right, Gemini, let's see. Because I think there's a lot of people that may go, so I just kind of I don't want you to do what I did. All right, Gemini, our first angel is Athena. It's safe for you to lovingly assert yourself. Ariel, new psychic and spiritual experiences are changing the way you view yourself in the world. We have the Patience card. That's another card of observation. And then we have Archangel Michael asking you to have courage. All right, here we go. Your ruling planet is in Pisces right now, jettisoning towards Jupiter and Neptune at, breakneck speed. So you're really going to start thinking about how you're being treated, if you're being treated fairly and abundantly, if your talents are being seen. And I kind of think Mercury's ruling your everyday life, not just your mind. So let's see. Athena is being joined by the cow. Ariel's being joined by the trust card. Patience is being joined by the love card. And Archangel Michael's being joined by the restriction card. So this is what I would have to say when I look at this. Athena says to lovingly assert yourself, and the cow is about abundance, asking and receiving nourishment. I don't know how many people actually go to their employers and ask for more money anymore, or ask for more benefits, or ask for more bounty within their work life. But I feel as if it's important for Gemini to start to think about more bounty and to assert themselves towards that bounty in asking and receiving. And I feel it's super important that in that way that you connect with spirit before taking any human action. Because in order to do this, yes, we change jobs. Exactly, Shelley. And I feel like even in the change of the job, there is a weird underbelly of lack, because again, we go in being judged or perceive ourselves to be judged or assessed and our value by whatever the resume looks like, right? So I feel as if the observation of Gemini's own energy and their level of trust, not just trust in the universe, but trust in their value to others. And sometimes, it's funny, if you look at people who go get another job, then they go to their employer and they say, hey, I got another job and they're willing to offer me this. Do you want to meet it? Their courage is completely changed because they don't feel vulnerable anymore because they've got this in the pocket. So this is where, if we can get into this vibration, because Patience is asking me to observe how much I actually love myself and trust my connection to spirit when I'm lovingly asserting myself towards what I actually deserve and want. Because it sounds like the restriction card makes me feel like you don't feel protected and you don't feel courageous in this way. And I want to offer it this way because I feel as if Gemini on some level could spend this week thinking about, and maybe the weeks ahead, Uranus is in Taurus. This to me is the female bull, the cow. And I feel as if, how do you make your money? How are your skills being valued? And it's an opportunity for you to really observe your belief in that. And as your belief becomes more solid and more rooted in your truth, then if you decide to go to an employer and say, I would like more resources for what I do, or you decide to look for a new job, I feel like this will be a much stronger platform for you to align with. And I really I kind of feel like there's a little bit of I don't want to say it's a game, but I feel like you'll feel in this brave action that Archangel Michael is asking you to take. And I don't think the restriction card is in restriction. I think he's asking you to say, are you lovingly, do you believe it that you will receive? Do you believe that if you assert yourself, you will have a favorable experience? Because I think that some of you will have a very favorable experience, and that might be the liberation. The tension may not come from outside, but it may come from your own Mars energy, being afraid to assert yourself, Uranus, to other humans. Mars, I need more money. I want more resources. And then your employer will be like, oh, we don't have any money, because they always say that. That's always the first thing they say. I don't have any money. So I feel like starting this week is an opportunity for Gemini to observe their beliefs, to let go of their ego, to observe their everyday activities, to start to drive the bus towards what they love, and to maybe even start to think about getting a little bit brave in having that value demonstrated back to them. Okay, let's go on to Taurus. My moon. I can hear my dad from the other side saying, they don't know, Teri. I have 2 trines in my natal chart, and they are earth trines. So I have Saturn at the 10th house, trining my moon in Taurus, trining Pluto and Venus in Virgo. And I got to tell you, I feel like when the planets hit any one of those, when the transiting planets hit any one of my natal planets, something happens. So when this full moon, while it was not near the degrees of my trines, I felt like the activity around Uranus was sending this, like, I almost feel like I'm playing pinball wizard, bing, 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 around my chart. So just pay attention to that a little bit in your charts, because you may feel things and you'll be like, but this doesn't make sense. But if it's hitting a transit that's pinging across your chart, it may. I don't know. All right, here we go. Taurus, our first angel is Sonia. The second is Oceana. The third is Mystique. And the final is Bethany. I want to say this too, just in general. This week, the veil may be very thin between here and there, and people may actually have dreams and or intuitive hits, or actually feel like they're communicating with the dead. I don't advertise that, but I do mediumship all the time. I didn't want to, but Spirit keeps bringing me dead people or their relatives. Okay, Sonia is being joined by the dog. Wow. Oceana is being joined by the queen. Mystique is being joined by the deer. And Bethany is being joined by the fire fairy. Taurus, I want to say this. If you do have a deceased loved one on the other side, they're definitely coming through with wishes that they love you. But I also want to say this. I believe this is your team. And I believe that no matter how much your Taurus energy gets stubborn, or how much you may, snort and do this with your hooves, Spirit loves you, and there is a divine purpose for it. And I don't want you to get up your own grill, because I think this week there is a very good possibility that something will happen that will just, or maybe it's been happening and the writing is on the wall this week, and it comes down to me or them. And I got to tell you, Taurus, it's you. Because if enough of us choose the me will become a we. Turn that M upside down, and it becomes, because that's what I think. This is about sincerity to yourself, and your team is encouraging you to do so, because this is about reception and your own emotional body. I also want to say, I think there's a potential of a lot of crazy dreams for some reason. I don't know why I want to go there, but I believe that this is about reception. I believe this is about a calm energy and trusting a bigger or a bigger inner knowing, because Mystique is saying to keep charging ahead. And then there's the gentleness and diplomacy of the deer. Something has been shifting for Taurus, obviously, since Uranus moved into the sign, but it feels bigger than that. It feels a little bit like it's not just, Uranus representing humanity in the outside world, but there's some sort of liberation on the inside. And I think it's about understanding maybe the darker hues of your own personality. I'm so transparent. I don't have any cloaks. I have no daggers. Maybe I have a few daggers, but you see them coming. Okay. And I think sometimes that I want to chastise myself for that. I feel like I should be more sheepish and more like everybody else in the world. And then I'm like, no, I don't want to, because Taurus, there's the fire fairy. And this could be about creative action and optimism, but I think this is ruling Mars today. And it's about taking care of you. Mars is the ultimate me. And I think that Spirit is saying, if you take care of you in a bigger way, you'll be able to love other people more generously. That's the way I want to put it. Taurus is a fixed sign, and I understand my fixed emotional body. And at the same time, I feel like I fight for fairness and other people aren't fair. And then I get a finger pointed back at me for my snorting bull and my hoof and the person who waved the red flag in front of me. I just want to take all that off the table this week for Taurus. I want to say, if you think of yourself from a strong spiritual point of view, even if you've lost your mind and you've gotten angry or things feel out of balance, there's a wisdom behind it. And if you're willing to look for the wisdom behind it, then that darkness turns into light and it fires you up and gets you motivated to move forward. So I kind of expect a little bit of, I feel like I'm walking through a landmine field right now, and I don't know if I'm going to step on a bomb or not, but I know this: if I walk with Spirit, I will walk more gingerly and I will see the wisdom of all the things that happen. So I'm going to do that. Let's go on to Aries, our final sign. I want to tell you all I love you so much for your coming every week and being here with me and spending time and supporting me. I just appreciate it beyond measure. I'm just a human banging around trying to do the best I can do. I got no poker face, girl. You got that right. In fact, when I did play poker, I was like the type that would go, and everybody would know. It was terrible. And then I'd be the one that would be like, we used to play poker when I was in my 20s and 30s, and I'd ask them to put the combination, the winning combinations, we would write it on the table, like the tablecloth, the underside of it. And people could always tell, because all of a sudden I'd be going like this, looking to see what beats what. Thank you, Vasila. All right, Aries, here we go. Our first angel is Teresa. The second is Isaiah. The third is Xana. And the final is Athena. So your ruling planet is having a moment this week with Uranus. Here we go. Teresa's being joined by the water fairy. Isaiah's being joined by the bee. Xana's being joined by the love card. And Athena's being joined by the lady of the lake. I kind of got to say, I feel like Aries, I personally have like a love-hate relationship sometimes with myself, because I really enjoy my assertiveness and I enjoy my clarity. And then I get really pissed off when I'm a little too clear and a little too assertive. So here we go. Teresa is saying it's safe for you to take care of you. Stop worrying about everybody else and everybody else's feelings. And I want to offer this way, because we talk about these planets and we throw these keywords in it, and 9 times out of 10, I meet Aries people and they're the most loving, caring, nurturing people. They're not the warriors that they're depicted to be. So I think this is about taking care of your feelings, and not in a way that's like, oh, my feelings. It feels more like, you know what? If I got pissed off for a reason, and it's okay. That's what I want to say. Because again, this isn't just, look, I know I had a rough week and I hope this next week is calmer, but Uranus squaring Mars is nothing to be messing with. And it's going to go on for days this week. So I'm really expecting a little bit of something, something. So now the B is about thinking about how am I being? And it is an opportunity to give myself new life, but not because I'm not asserting myself anymore, but to understand my assertion. So I want to say this for my Aries. Do you just go off Mars, or do you try to gently express yourself and nobody's listening? And then when nobody listens, then you go off. Because I think that's where it all becomes, it kind of comes together. This is where Xana protecting me and reminding me that I am a loving being. I'm not this crazy warrior just running around trying to smash people's heads off, lob people's heads off. Because now for Aries, it's time to lovingly assert yourself and be gentle with your own truth. This is the thing. I always talk about the Lady of the Lake holding her sword with the most gentle touch as she walks through this storm. Look at her hand. The lower hand is open. It's not even holding onto the sword. So, Aries, I think that this week is an opportunity for you not to really care about other people. And if you have something that you feel is challenging to talk about or challenging to confront, then rather than worrying about how the other person is going to receive it, I think it's about worrying about or considering how you want to express it and then expressing it to your satisfaction. If it doesn't land satisfying on the other person, I don't know if I care that much. And I don't want to sound callous, but I think that this is important for Aries. Because I think part of the reason they feel like a warrior is because they try so hard to hold it in, and then kapoom. So now it's time to give birth to your new being energy, and that you are doing your best to come from love each and every time. And Spirit knows that. So we're just going to keep practicing. Practice makes perfect, but there is no perfect. Because the minute we start to feel perfect, we die, and then we come back under the veil again and have no idea how perfect we really are, because perfect is fabulously flawed. So that's it for me for this week. I appreciate you all for being here and for supporting me beyond my previous life. And I just am so grateful. So that's what I want to say. And thank you. Oh, thank you, Welsh. I'm glad you liked the meditation. I hope you all will check it out. I will be back next week for more Traversing the Transits with Teri. And we'll see how we did. Sending lots of love and light to you all. And as always, thank you, Juan and Small Wildflowers, for always being here to support me and moderating and doing the timestamps. So I'll see you next week, everybody. And look for word vibration of the week. This week's word is live. We're going to live. And that'll be out on Tuesday or Wednesday. All right, guys. Have a great week. Peace out.